Hello, students, good morning. Let's discuss the question and answers of your chapter Silk Road. First of all, the article has been titled Silk Road. We will have to justify this statement. The title of the article has been named on the historic Silk Road or routes. The network connected the Afro-Eurasian landmass. It established trade of Chinese silks, spices, teas, and porcelain. Indian textiles, precious stones and pepper, and the Roman Empire's gold, silver, fine glassware, wine, carpets, and jewels. The road was named Silk Road largely because of the silk trade with China. In the chapter, the author travels to Mount Kailash, exploring the Himalayan belt in Tibet. Since the author explored this region, so this chapter is titled as Silk Road. So, yes, the title is very apt because the author had been there. Next is Tibetan Mastiffs were popular in China's imperial courts. Why? Tibetan Mastiffs were popular in China's imperial courts as hunting dogs. They were brought along the Silk Road in ancient times as tribute from Tibet. They were huge black dogs used as watchdogs. They explode into action like bullets. So they are furious and fearless. That is the reason they were used in imperial courts. The author's experience at Hor was in stark contrast to earlier accounts of the place, whatever he had read or heard. Hor was a grim, dark, upset, sad, miserable place. The dust and rocks were scattered, spread everywhere in abundance, in a huge amount. There was little vegetation. The place seemed unfortunate and dejected, neglected, though it sat on the shore bank of the Lake Mansarovar, but still there was no such interest of people to visit that place. The author was flabbergasted, surprised, or shocked to realize the contrast in his experience to that of the earlier read accounts. A Japanese monk, Ikai Kawaguchi, who had arrived there in 1990, was so moved by the sanctity, purity of the lake that he burst into tears. He was so much touched with the beauty that he started crying. The hallowed waters had a similar effect on Sven Hedon, a Swede from Sweden, who was not easily sentimental outbursts. But for the author, when he reached Hor, first he had to get two punctures mended. The only relaxation was the tea served by a Chinese youth in the only cafe in the town, which was constructed from badly painted concrete and had three broken windows. The good view of the lake through one of them helped to compensate, however, otherwise, there was no such beauty that the author should keep that in mind. It was not so. The author was disappointed with Darchan. Why? The author was disappointed with Darchan. The high altitude was giving him health problems. He had a bad cold and was not able to sleep at night. Since he was one of the early arrivals, there were not any pilgrims coming to the place. The place was dusty, partially derelict, neglected, and punctuated by heaps of rubble and refuse. So, all everywhere there was dust and waste. So, he was not happy. The author thought that his positive thinking strategy worked well after all. Why did he think so? The author was disappointed with Darshan. He also complained of bad health. Satan had left for Lhasa. He was feeling rather lonely with no pilgrims around. It was then he met Norbu, a Tibetan who too wanted to visit Kailash. They would be a good team as both of them were academicians who had escaped from the library. They have just been reading about this journey, so now they have come to do it in reality, practically. The author started thinking positively and it gave him some delight and a new enthusiasm. The purpose of the author's journey to Mount Kailash, what was it? Nick Middleton is an Oxford professor as well as an adventurer, he follows the most difficult terrain through the Silk Road and reaches Mount Kailash. He visits the holy place to complete the Kora, going around the place. So, this is the reason he comes to Mount Kailash. The author's physical condition in Darshan. The author was not physically well when he reached the Archon. His sinuses were blocked due to the cold wind and Hor, and he was not able to sleep well at night. The next day, Satan took him to the Darchan Medical College, and the doctor there gave him some medicine that gave him some relief. So, this was his physical condition. Next, the author's meeting with Norbu. The author was feeling rather lonely without Satan, who had left for Lhasa. There weren't any pilgrims at Darchan as he had reached the place much early in the season. It was then that he saw Norbu, who was a Tibetan and also an academician. He too was there to visit Kailash, and they decided to go there together. So finally, he was very happy meeting Norbu. Next is Satan's support to the author during the journey. Satan was a good and efficient driver. He drove the car very carefully. During the journey, he spoke to the author, giving information about the places they were visiting. He was very caring at Darchan when he found that the author was not well. He took him to the medical college and got medicine for him. He was a good Buddhist. And the last question is, as a Buddhist, he told me he knew that it didn't really matter if I passed away, but he thought it would be bad for business. Why did he say so? Satan was a good Buddhist and believed that death was not the end of life. Kailash being a holy place, it would be better for him as it would take him to heaven, he thought. Then if the author would die there, it would be bad for his business as his credibility will be at stake in looking after the tourists, and later he may not get any customers. So he was of this point of view. These were some of the important questions of this chapter. And now some words, ways of speaking. Speak, to talk or to make use of words in a normal voice. Talk, to speak, to give information, that is talking. Hiss, to say something in a loud whisper. No sound, whispering but loud. Bark, to say something quickly in a loud voice. Mumble, to speak unclearly so that others cannot hear. You speak but not on the purpose that others should understand. Mutter, to speak in a low voice so that others cannot hear. Mumble and muttering. Stutter or stammer, to speak with pauses and repeating the same sound or syllable. Whine is to complain in a sad, annoying voice about something. If you are complaining about something, then somebody can say you stop whining. Shout, to speak in a loud voice in anger or to get attention. Chat, to have a friendly, informal conversation. Shriek or scream is to cry out very loudly on a high note. Whisper is to speak softly without vibrating the vocal cords. So these are the ways of speaking. Note down all the questions and these words in your notebook. Okay, and have a good day.